size of bruise on Scott Mendelson after tearing his pec muscle at bench press world record attempt. An ICE agent who helped deport many learned he was undocumented himself and now faces deportation. Upon presenting his birth certificate to help his brother become a citizen, Rodriguez learned his documents were falsified at birth, and he in fact was not a US citizen. He was immediately fired. NASA is monitoring an asteroid that could collide with Earth on Valentine's Day in 2046. A 1 in 400 chance. Phones confiscated during cell searches at just one California prison. Humans are trichromatic, meaning we see, have 3 cone cells, and thus can see many colors on the visible light spectrum. Many mammals are instead dichromatic, and thus see fewer colors. This is why the tiger's camouflage works, even though it stands out so much for us. Human vision. Other mammals' vision. Dubai's futuristic downtown circle project under the Dubai 2040 plan. In 1999, Harvard physicist Lynn Howe was able to slow down light to 17 meters per second. In 2001, she was able to stop light completely. Jeff Bezos' wealth is so massive, an $88,000 purchase to him is similar to a $1 purchase for the average American. In 1990, a panel of the windscreen on British Airways Flight 5390 fell out at 17,000 feet, causing the cockpit to decompress and its captain to be snapped halfway out of the aircraft. This is a huge ancient forest world discovered 300 meters down a sinkhole in Hubei, China, containing a unique ecosystem of ancient trees, plants and animals. Canada is currently reporting a super pig problem, with a hybrid breed gone wrong, mixing domestic pigs and wild boars. Reporting sizes up to 661 pounds and capable of surviving extreme Canadian winters. This painting from the 1600s shows what watermelons looked like at the time. Amsterdam was planned by an American city planner in the 60s. San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus demonstrating the impact of AIDS on the choir, May 1993. Anti-tank dogs. A weapon first used by the Soviets in World War II. The dogs would be starved and trained to run under tanks to find food. They would be sent out into the war zone with bombs strapped to them, which would be detonated to destroy the tanks. The Blue family of Kentucky. I restored and colorized old photo of my grandpa. Anti-paparazzi scarf glass nanospheres are bonded to the fabric and act as little reflective lenses, which gives the clothes their shine. It's taking light and shoving it right back into the camera, which is what blows up the exposure. The first wife of Johnny Cash, Vivian Liberto, had a great-grandmother who was born a slave, but she sued newspapers who referred to her as Bulk. Arrest exposes Johnny Cash's wife. Arrest exposes Johnny Cash's wife. 4 people from the town of Geary, Oklahoma who fought in different wars. World War II, World War I, Spanish-American War, American Civil War. The entire English alphabet carved into the lead of a pencil. A reconstruction of Ötzi, a middle-aged man who lived around 5,300 years ago in northern Italy. He was killed by an arrow, but the frozen environment of the Alps preserved his body and belongings. Earth 250 million years from now, Pangaea Ultima, Proxima. The Ottoman train. which was ambushed by Lawrence of Arabia about 100 years ago on the Hejaz Railway, still stands in the middle of the desert today. George Washington is only one of 2 presidents to physically go to war while in office. In 1794, 6,000 men angry at taxes gathered at a field near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The aging 62-year-old president mounted his horse and personally led 13,000 men into Pennsylvania. Ricky Magee, shortly after being rescued from the Australian outback, where he had been stranded after hitchhikers knocked him unconscious and left him in a shallow grave with plastic wrapped over him. He was found by workers on a remote cattle ranch 71 days later. Ceratids are the only case of sexual parasitism. The male fish is simply an appendage of the female and is completely dependent on her for nutrition. Chicago reflected in Lake Michigan from an airplane. The Joker spider discovered in Iran in 2020, species name is Laridia phoenixi, was named after the actor Joaquin Phoenix for the color pattern which matches the Joker from DC Comics. The Fukang meteorite, found near Fukang City, is very unique, made up mostly of large olivine crystals and a nickel iron matrix. Penguins' mouths are full of spiky papillae that ensure fish move in one direction, down the penguin's throat. Made entirely from cicada shells. The size of a bald eagle nest. A zebra was shot and killed tonight in Ohio after it mauled and severely injured a local man. The man had to be taken by helicopter for emergency medical care. A coconut after being polished. Got this Austrian shilling from a vending machine. Got this as my change. The 2 clouds captured over Poland are so tall, they are casting shadows over the entire country. When temperatures reach 113 degrees during the dry season, crocodiles will attempt to estivation, or reduce their body temperature, by burying themselves in mud for up to a month without eating, by living off its fat reserves. This photograph won the grand prize in the World Nature Photography Award. The shortest, tallest, and fattest man of Europe playing a game of cards in 1913. Viking axe before and after restoration. This aerial photo of Woodstock 1969. It's believed that over 400,000 were in attendance when this was taken. Vinyl records outsell CDs for the first time since 1987. In 2004, Michael Schumacher's Schuberther F1.5 helmet was a prototype made of multi-layered carbon fiber. It was so strong that they rolled a tank over it, and it stayed intact. The helmet cost around $20,000 at the time. When you bought an elephant and are reading the instructions. The shortest guy in this picture is 7 feet 2 inches. 120-year-old wedding dress that I bought, complete with picture of original owner wearing it. No return please. Scientist exploring Chernobyl alone in 1986. Incredibly rare bulk flamingo. The last known Tasmanian tiger photographed in 1933. They are now extinct. Teenager Prathamesh Jaju was able to capture the clearest photo of the moon. A Blue Carpenter Bee. walking across the legendary battlefield of Thermopylae. Aside from Leonidas and his 300 Spartans, the Romans also fought here, and even in World War II Anzac forces fought the Germans. A hallway designed to stop people from running. Steve Buscemi was New York City firefighter in the 80s. A pickup truck flees from the smoke and volcanic ash, pyroclastic flows, spewing from the Mount Pinatubo volcano that erupted during 1991 in the Philippines. Amazingly, the photographer Alberto Garcia survived this gut-wrenching scene and has won many awards for this amazing photograph. A special mask for hiding your emotions when playing poker, 1937. There is a bicycle path in Poland that is solar powered and glows in the dark. Homemade levees after flooding. Goldfish can turn white either with age or by being in an environment lacking light for a prolonged period of time. Jimi Hendrix ordered two left-handed Fender Stratocaster, one black and one white, but died before he took possession. Later, Steve Miller purchased the guitars and the black Strat is on the cover of his Fly Like an Eagle album. Steve Miller Band. Fly Like an Eagle. This is the grave of Technical Sergeant Leonid Matlovic. It does not bear his name, because he intended to be a monument to all gay veterans. Today marks 46 years since he appeared on the cover of Time magazine. Never Again. The 6th of July 1943. Never Forget. The 22nd of June 1988. A gay Vietnam veteran. When I was in the military, they gave me a medal for killing 2 men. And a discharge for loving 1. In China, this is a statue of Qin Hui, a corrupt politician from the 11th century widely regarded as a traitor. His and his family's statues have been cursed, spat and urinated upon by the Chinese for centuries. Portuguese Royal Library in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The library was founded in 1837 by a group of 43 political émigrés from Portugal to promote Portuguese culture in the capital of the Brazilian Empire. An extremely rare angular rough shark, Arcinitus centrina, sometimes known as a pig-faced shark that normally lives up 2,300 feet below the surface. This example was recently spotted by naval officers, floating in the waters at the Darcina Midicea Marina in the town of Portoferrao, island of Elba. The Codex Gigas, also known as the Devil's Bible, was written by a monk who had been sentenced to death. To avoid this, he promised to write a book that contained all human knowledge in one night. Knowing he wouldn't be able to keep his promise, he prayed to Lucifer, who completed the book for him. Amo Koivunen was a Finnish World War II soldier and is the first known case of a soldier overdosing on drugs during combat. While being chased by Soviets, he decided to take moth in order to keep going. Instead of 1 pill, he took 30. He skied 250 miles, escaped the Russians, and his heart rate was 200 BPM. Artist Jonty Hurwitz has created nanosculptures of human forms that are invisible to the naked eye and can only be viewed on the screen of a powerful scanning electron microscope. Here is a sculpture of a naked lady standing in the eye of a needle. This 2,000-year-old corpse is known as the girl, and it was killed at the age of 16 by stabbing and strangulation sometime between 54th BC and 128 AD. Some believe she was ritualistically sacrificed. No one knows exactly why she was murdered to this day. A. B. In 1140, when a opposition castle was captured by King Conrad III, the women of the castle were granted free departure and allowed to take what they could carry on their backs. Thinking quickly, the women carried the men on their backs. The king kept his word and let the men live. 2,000 years ago, royalty from the Han Dynasty were laid to rest entirely ensheathed in jade suits comprised of thousands of pieces of cut and polished jade, sewn together with gold thread. Mined as early as 6000 BC, the Chinese thought jade would preserve the body and aid in immortality. In Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, 2001, they used a giant prop ring for close-up shots. This is Baloo the bear, Leo the lion and Shere Khan the tiger. They have spent the last 15 years peacefully coexisting at Noah's Ark Animal Shelter in Georgia. They were rescued together back in 2001 from a dog dealer's basement and have been together ever since. Kryptis is a sculpture erected on the CIA grounds in 1991. It bears 4 encrypted codes consisting of 865 letters and 4 question marks punched into a curved wall of copper. Though 3 sections were successfully decoded in the 1990s, the 4th and final code remains unsolved till date. While Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin explored the surface of the moon, astronaut Michael Collins stayed behind in orbit flying the command module and took one of the most famous photographs in human history. This is a closed terrarium ecosystem. The plants provide oxygen for the animals and the animals produce carbon dioxide for the plants to use. The water evaporates and comes down again as rain. It can survive sealed for years with animals and plants inside. This photo is a comparison of Zengi's ship to Christopher Columbus' Santa Maria. Both of them were great explorers of their time. Zengi died in 1433 and Christopher Columbus was born in 1450. The big ship was Zengi's. In the Atacama Desert in Chile, 3,000-year-old densely packed shrub called the Isla. It looks like moss covering rocks, but it is actually a cluster of leaves and branches so hard and densely packed you can stand on them. Skier Doug Coombs attempts the complex descent Corbett's Calva, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, 1989. Greg Valentino, a bodybuilder who injected synthil stacked with equipoison test propanate, about 3,000 milligrams a week, into his biceps. At his peak, they measured 27 inches. At one point he punctured an abscess and the infection caused it to blow up with pus, and had blood pouring out of it for hours. This award-winning residential development/condominium, named The Interlace, is located on Depot Road, Singapore. It won the prestigious World Building of the Year title at the World Architecture Festival. Cal Ripken Jr. holds the record for most games played in a row, 2,632. He also played in the longest baseball game in history between the Pawtucket Red Sox and Rochester Red Wings. The game lasted 33 innings. This adobe structure is called a yakjal. It was used to make ice in the heat of Iran's central deserts before electricity. Persian-speaking Iranians still use the same word to refer to electrical refrigerators. It's a perfect use of thermodynamics. This is a 1911 Baker electric car. By the year 1900, electric cars were so popular in New York that they accounted for 1/3 of all vehicles on the road. One Electric, by Frigel, was advertised as able to go 100 miles on a single charge. The vaquita. This is one of the rarest dolphins in the world. There are only 30 that are alive in the world, which could lead to extinction very soon. Tens of millions of dollars from the Mexican government has been poured into efforts to save this animal. These footprints are the oldest known human footprints outside Africa. They were probably made by Homo antecessor, an evolutionary dead end, but an uncle to us, and Neanderthal 7 Kaya, Happisburgh, UK. A farmhouse I stayed in built in 1504 has markings carved on the roof beams to show which ones fit together. This is how ancient Greece really looked like. Here's a reconstruction of Kiritz Street in ancient Ephesus. Every year I put together a family portrait of our solar system using images captured from my backyard. Here is this year's effort. The ancient city of Ortahisa, Turkey. The direction of sunrise every month during the year 2019 from the city of Amman, Jordan. Although the sun always rises in the east in general, it rises farther southeast on the December solstice and more northeast on the June solstice. December solstice, January, February, March equinox, April, May, June solstice, July, August, September equinox, October, November, December solstice. An aircraft being transported in an aircraft. Bong, one of the most decorated American fighter pilots and the country's top flying ace in the war during World War II. Also a Medal of Honor recipient. Landscape divided beautifully by the rails of a fence. 24/7 pizza vending machine in Finland. Train equipped with flamethrowers to defrost railway switches, Switzerland 1968. An Allied soldier shakes a dog's paw while fighting in the Battle of Bulge. Albert Pierrepoint was England's main sectioner for 25 years up to 1956. He hung somewhere between 450 and 600 people. He later said, "All the men and women whom I have faced at that final moment convince me that in what I have done, I have not prevented a single murder." An 18-wheel diesel tanker caught fire in Alberta, Canada. Firefighters just watched. There was no way to put it out. The cost of this watch is about $245,000 to $333,000. The most interesting fact is that along with its movement, the position of the planet changes as well, and it resembles precisely to their current position in space.